What is up, Neophytes? My name's Alan, aka NeoCrypter, and welcome to some updated OBS tutorials. All right. I hope you guys are doing great. I'm having a good day. If I sound a little bit weird, I just woke up like, I don't know, 20 minutes ago. I still have my morning voice, so I apologize for that. I'm just kind of like, mornings, they suck. Anyway, guys, so it's been requested multitude of times for me to release some updated OBS tutorials, as my old ones, well, are just that. They are old. Some of the information is still very, very much valid for OBS. Some of it is very much out of date. So we're going to fix that. We're going to release a whole new series, and whether you're watching this on YouTube or Vid'S, yeah, I hope you guys find it very useful. I'm going to go through the whole gambit of things, where to download it, how to configure it for various things, you know, the basic configuration for recording. We're going to talk about streaming. We're going to talk about adding sources, scenes, what those are, how to utilize them properly. We're going to cover overlay graphics, and, you know, for the streaming side, we're going to talk about how to set up like stream alerts and donation alerts and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And yeah, overall, I plan on making this an all-inclusive series. Obviously, this is going to be broken up into several different videos. Today, we're just going to cover the overall super basics, where to get it, how to configure it, just for, you know, just basic recording, just to get you guys going, and touch on a few of the very basic settings for it. And yeah, I hope you guys find it useful. If you do find it useful, if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that like button. It helps out a great deal. If you're watching this over on Vid'S, upvote it, because yeah, this information needs to be seen. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of people out there that want to know how to use OBS, and with OBS Studio being the current version of OBS as of August, what is today? The 3rd, I think. Maybe, yeah, August 3rd, 2017. With OBS Studio having so many different setups and so many complicated options, I'm sure there's people out there with questions. Anyway, guys, so let's go ahead and jump right in and get started. What is OBS? OBS stands for Open Broadcaster Software. Current version is OBS Studio, which we'll get into the studio side of things and what that means a little bit further down the road, because it's really not important at the moment. What you can do with it, you can do local recording of gameplay, desktop, pretty much anything you can think of. If you have a capture card, you can even record your PS3, your PS4, your Xboxes, your Super Nintendos, your kids, and your Super Nintendo. You know what I mean? Yeah, you can record console gameplay. You can do a lot with this software. So where do you get it? Well, that's actually pretty simple. We open up a browser here, and comments. You don't want to see those comments. We go over here to obsproject.com, the front page here. There's a big shiny green button that says download OBS. Download it, you get an installer, you run the installer, you can install it pretty much anywhere you want. I'm not going to actually download it, obviously I do have it installed. So one thing while we are here, they do have a forums. So if you go up here to the top, you know, right click, you click on forum, it'll take you over to their forums, and there is a lot of information in here. So if there's something I do not cover, you might check out the forums. If it's still not on the forums or you can't find it, feel free to ask me. I have no problem in the world answering questions, provided I see them. Sometimes it might take me a day or so, but just as a little disclaimer. Anyway, okay. So after you get it downloaded, installed, and you run it for the first time, you get this. Cool, right? All right. In the tutorial, you've got OBS. Oh, just kidding. So so you get this up. This is OBS, and this is what it will look like when it is fresh installed. You'll have empty scene. You'll have a scene here with no sources. A scene is basically a collection of sources. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Somebody in the other room started vacuuming. Yeah. Always a good time. Anyway, so what I was saying is a scene is a collection of sources. Sources define what is recorded with OBS or streamed with OBS. So like basically for the very first thing when you get into OBS, we'll go into the settings here in a moment, but to give you an example of a scene as source. So this is a blank scene, empty scene. If we right click or hit the plus button on the sources, we can go down here to let's find desktop capture, display capture. We add that in, call it display capture 1, boom. And then we can select, which monitor we want. If we have 2 monitors, like I could go here and select my second monitor where I have OBS and Discord and my mixer running all on the other screen, or we can display the main desktop, which is where we're at right now. And we get the window within a window within a window within a window thing. But now, if you were to hit record, you would be recording your desktop. As you can see in here, there is a bunch of different things to go through, from audio to browser sources to color source. I actually don't know what that one is. I will have to look it up before we go too in depth in these, because that's a new option to me. VLC video source. If you don't know what VLC is a very popular open source media player, kind of like Windows Media Player, but with a lot more options. I love it. I use it myself. But yeah, this is where you would add in like your game captures, your display captures, your webcam, and everything like that. Well, a scene just contains that. So if we were to add a new scene, we'll just leave it generically named C2. There's nothing there. So you can switch between them and have completely different sources to control how you record, what you record, and have different things set up, and you can switch between them at will. So that is what a scene and a source is. Again, a scene is a collection of sources. Sources dictate what you're recording or streaming. All right, so let's jump into the settings here by clicking the settings button here. Okay, so up here on your default tab, most of this you can pretty much just kind of leave how it comes. One thing I personally like to do is under theme, I like to change it to the dark theme. It's a little bit easier on the eyes, I feel. So, and there's that. But most of this is optional stuff. You can kind of go through it as you wish and experiment with it. The other options down here are the other ones that I would look at, like system tray. You can minimize to system tray when started. Always minimize the system tray instead of the taskbar, things like that. Okay, we're going to skip stream for now, because this one we're just going to show you how to get up and recording quickly. So we're going to go over to output. Output is how we dictate, our bit rates for our videos and everything of that source, where it's going to save it to, what file type, etc., etc., etc. So we have your software encoder and your hardware encoder. Now this will be different depending on what you have. If you have an NVIDIA card, you will have this NVENC. If you have an AMD, I don't remember what it's called, but it will show that here. And then of course there's Intel QuickSync, which will also be here. What the difference is when you're encoding video, recording, or streaming, if you have it on software, it is going to use your CPU for all the heavy lifting, all the encoding. When you're using one of these other options, it's going to use your video card. Like if you have an Intel video card with QuickSync enabled, I think also some of the processors have it, you can use that. And it takes it off the main CPU cores. NVIDIA, it has a dedicated encoder chipset in their card, so you can use that. And it just, which is what I use. I personally use the NVIDIA codec for everything because it takes the stress off your processor. And the quality is pretty good. It's not quite as good as using your CPU encoder, but it is still very, very good. I mean, unless you're like staring at the video looking for differences between two identical scenes, but one encoded with software, one encoded with the NVENC, you're not going to tell the difference. Seriously. So yeah, that's where you set that. You have your video bitrate. Video bitrate, think of it this. Each frame in a video, so it can hold a certain amount of information. Well, adjusting the video bitrate adjusts how much information you can store in that single frame of the video. So the higher this number, the more information that is stored in that frame of that video. So the clearer the video will look, the more details it captures, etc. So for recording, you want this at fairly high. Personally, if you're recording for YouTube, there is a plethora of settings that people all over YouTube will recommend you, me being one of them. But there is no right or wrong answer. There are some guidelines to go by. Let us go ahead and look that up real quick though. So we are going to go with YouTube encoder settings. And I think I hit an X. Yes, I did. Okay. But a quick little Google here. You can see right here, pops it up recommended video bit rates for HDR uploads. So like 1080p is the standard, right? It's telling you video bit rate for standard would be 10 megabits for a high frame rate, aka like 60 FPS. So standard would be 24, 25, or 30 FPS. It's 10 megabit. For a higher frame rate, 15 megabit is what they recommend. So what you would do is say we're going to record in 1080p 60 FPS, which is what I typically record in. You would come up here and you would say put it at 15000. So 15,000 bit rate, which is 15 megabits. Okay, and then down here you set where you're going to record or save your recordings to. So right now it goes to my videos folder. You can change that to however you like, wherever you want. One thing, recording quality, same as stream. You can set it down here. I recommend just leaving it as default. Best thing to do here. Recording format is something you will want to change. I would recommend either change it to MP4 or MOV. Personally, I use MP4. This is for compatibility for editing software. So like say your Adobe Premiere, your DaVinci Resolve, which is what I personally use, Sony Vegas, etc. All of those will accept MP4, everything, and MOV. Everything else is kind of hit or miss on whether it will accept. I think MKV, most of them accept anymore. Basically, all this does is it just changes that file extension, what the container for the video is. But so I recommend putting on MP4. Ultimately you can do what you want there, but for the highest compatibility for editing software, that's what you want. All right, so moving on, if we go over here to audio, this is where all your audio devices are. So you can set up, your main audio for like your system sounds, everything like that. If you have a second audio device, you can say here, this is where you set your microphone. As you can see, you have 3 different mic inputs. We're going to go into all this later because it gets a little bit complicated. And honestly, see how it says all disabled here? With my OBS setup, that's how it stays. And yes, you're still hearing me. And yes, I am actually recording sound with OBS, not with any other piece of software. But it's more of an advanced setup. For now, go ahead and set your default audio device, whichever it may be. So like if you're using headphones or if you're using speakers or whatever, set it in here. So we're going to set that because that's my default audio device, and my default mic would also be this one. And then you can hit apply. Video, you're going to come down here. You're going to, first off, base canvas resolution. This is the resolution of your desktop. So in my case, my monitor is a 1080p monitor, so it's automatically detected and set as 1920 by 1080. By default, it's wanting to automatically scale it down to 1280 by 720, which for streaming, that is perfectly good unless you're a Twitch partner or you're streaming on YouTube. You can actually get away with a higher base resolution. But for recording, I recommend making it match your base canvas resolution, so 1920 by 1080. Unless you're running one of those weird resolution monitors that's not 16 by 9, then we'll get into that a little bit later because you can still make it 16 by 9. Common FPS value, we're recording in 60 FPS, not 30, since we set it to that 15 megabits. And we can go ahead and hit apply, and we can hit the hotkeys here, and this is where you can set up all your scene stuff. We're going to ignore these down here because this goes into more advanced stuff, but you can set up your start and stop streaming buttons, your start and stop recording buttons. I typically use F9, but I'm not going to set these here today. I mean, it's simple as clicking in that box and hitting the key, and it can be the same key for both of these. So you can put F9 here and F9 here, so use it as a toggle. But since I already have, OBS recording on the other screen and it's using those hotkeys, I'm not going to set the hotkeys up personally in this video. It's very simple though. Under advanced, most of this stuff, actually all this stuff, you can pretty much safely ignore for now, because there's nothing here that is really all that important. So now we are pretty much set up to record. You can hit start recording. Whoa, studio, but I didn't want to do that. Start recording. And you can see the microphone fluctuating. Hello, world. How are you today? We are doing good. Thank you. Yay. So now if I go into my videos, so let's see here. We pull that up. And you can see the microphone fluctuating. Hello, world. How are you today? We are doing good. Thank you. Yay. And there we go. So you're set up. You're good to go. You're ready to record with Open Broadcaster Studio in its purest, most basic form. All right, guys, that is going to cut it for this video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Remember, I also have a Discord, which will be linked down below. So if you guys want to talk to me one-on-one or personally, feel free to hop in my Discord. And, I'm always willing to help out, provided the wife doesn't have me running errands or something of that nature. Okay, guys, I hope you found it useful. Until next time, this is Neo, and I'll see you in game. Bye.